Hey folks, my name is Rohan. I'm a PM here at Cockroach Cloud, and I'll be walking through how to use our schema conversion tool. So what you'll notice on the left-hand side here is there's this migrations tab, and this contains what we call the MOLT Schema conversion tool. This tool allows you to A, convert a schema from an existing dialect, Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server to CockroachDB. It also allows you to migrate that schema directly to a Cockroach Cloud database that uses the converted schema, which we will show today. But it also allows you to take that converted schema and export it. And so if you had a self-hosted Cockroach cluster, you could execute this statement in Cockroach SQL or use a third-party schema migration tool such as Alembic, Flyway, or Liquibase. What I have in front of me here is a pretty simple PostgreSQL with a number of different tables. And on the right-hand side, I have I'm connected to my Cockroach Cloud cluster. So I've already gone ahead and exported my DDL on a local machine. So I'll come in here and I will say add schema, select my Postgres dialect. I don't need to do any sort of int4 type conversion. We'll select next. At this point, you can either connect directly to the source database or upload a SQL file that contains the schema. I'm going to pick the latter here. I'm going to go quickly find my schema. I have a couple different schema here. For this particular example, I'm going to remove triggers so they are supported. Click convert, at which point we are behind the scenes going through the process of processing this schema. This oftentimes takes a few minutes. But what we'll eventually jump to the summary report and the statement, at which point you can see some of the exciting parts about this tool. Our migration has almost finished. We've converted the schema at least. And I wouldn't say migration has finished, but our schema has almost finished migrating. We've now set ourselves up for pretty good success. So I just want to explain kind of what's going on here. The schema conversion tool basically expects to analyze a SQL dump file containing only data definition statements. And so to generate the appropriate Postgres schema file, I ran pgdump and with the sort of schema only flag to extract only the schema of the database. And the dump file has to be smaller than 4 megabytes. Insert and copy statements will be ignored in schema conversion. So I want to talk about a few other things here. We encourage you to use the summary report and statements list to update the schema and finalize it for migration. So the banner at the top of this page displays a number of statements total in the uploaded SQL file that were analyzed, a number of errors, in this case 0, in the SQL statements that are blocking schema migration. Errors are then further categorized and counted in the summary report below here. And I'll show an example of that in just a second. And we also show a number of suggestions regarding CockroachDB best practices. So as an example, I'm generating a bunch of sequences, ideally to optimize indexing with Cockroach, auto-generating UUIDs is ideal. But for the sake of this example, I'm just going to acknowledge these actions. I do want to show kind of what you expect a summary report to look like when there are a number of errors and what you can do about some of these errors. So the summary report allows you to basically, let's just say, oh, these users are missing and they were never created. Well, then I can go in and I can click add a user and add that user, and this required fix would no longer be there once I retry the migration. But also directly, I can go to, I have the ability to filter all these different fixes, for example, if I just want to look at fixes and edit this inline, for example. If I want to delete it, I can literally delete it. If I wanted to change the user to something more reasonable, I could do that. And then I can go ahead and then add that user, for example. So let's just do this for the sake of this example. And something like this could work. and so forth for a lot of these other errors. And obviously you can mass change them as well by addressing them here. So going back, no errors. I've addressed all my suggestions, and now I'm ready to migrate the schema. So I'm going to click Migrate Schema, and I am just going to call this demo. And while that runs, I want to just quickly talk about a few other pointers here. So these required fixes section, they indicate errors that must be resolved before you can migrate your schema. So they can be things like unimplemented features that don't exist within Cockroach, uncreated users. It could be incompatibility, so non-Postgres schemas. It could be a statement that could not be converted because it has no equivalent syntax in Cockroach. It could be an uncategorized problem where the schema conversion tool did not or could not execute, or it could be an incidental problem where the statement that failed because there was some other SQL statement encountered one of the preceding error types. And the statements list page displays the result of analyzing each statement in the SQL file that you provided. But ultimately, to migrate the schema and create a new database for migrations, you have to click Migrate Schema, and that schema must have 0 errors. So let's go jump back to our actual schema conversion. So cool, we've migrated the schema, and now I'm going to verify in my SQL shell that all my tables that I expected to be there are there. So going back here, let's run this again. These are the tables that are available to me in my schema. Now I'm in Cockroach Cloud, and I want to do something similar. So I'm just going to go show tables, and awesome. I have all of these tables: departments, projects, task comments, tasks, users. So it looks like everything looks great. And now I'm ready to migrate data using MOLT Fetch.